So thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining us in this live webinar that we are about to kick off. We apologize that we are late with around 20 minutes, but we hope we shall have time to utilize the minutes that we have to conclusively discuss what we are about to talk about on understanding and protecting the rights of intersex and welfare of intersex children. So we are contextualizing the issue of intersex persons and intersex children, bearing in mind that we recently had a new Children's Act that recognized the intersex gender. And we know that in our last census too, we had an opportunity to, through the census process, to recognize the intersex gender. So this opportunity today for us is to sensitize our community to understand the issues and the situation around intersex persons in our country. So first and foremost, I'd like to take this opportunity to welcome our guests for today. And I would like to invite Haniel to give us an introduction. Haniel, welcome. Please introduce yourself.
All right. Good evening. Okay, so my name is Haniel Samuel Chivati. I'm a human rights defender who is more be able to offer advice on religion and sexuality procedures and act to promote and protect some variation of human rights. And I identify as intersex person. I am a mechanical engineer by profession with excellent project management, communication, and analytical skills, proficient at organizing trainings and team building initiatives to cement goals and drive competitive growth, organized and creative with strong leadership skills. I am a board member at PEMA Kenya and a co-founder of URA. URA is Utetezi Rural Africa, whereby I sit as programs officer. I am a LILO Identity and Connect facilitator, PFLAG facilitator, LILO peer counselor, moderator in Utubaraza, also a life skill and team building trainer, a trainer of trainers in ISOG. This is Islamic sexual orientation and gender identity expression. Also, I train religion, sexuality and human rights, religion and national level through advocacy and trainings. Yes.
Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. We'd like to welcome our second guest to introduce herself. Faiza, please introduce yourself.
Okay, good evening. My name is Faiza Musa. I work at the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, the Coast Regional Office. Our office, KNCHR, is a government institution, an independent government institution set out under Article 59 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010, and our mandate is to promote and to protect human rights. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faiza and Haniel, of course, for that wonderful introduction. And what we'd like to do right now is to give ourselves an opportunity to understand what is intersex. I'll start with you, Faiza. Maybe for a lay person, how do you explain, how do you define for them who or what is an intersex? Karibu, Faiza.
Okay, thank you. I'll start as a lay person. Definition is an intersex person or a child is a person who cannot be classified as a typically male or female. But for those who, now basically that's the layman language, a person who cannot be typically be placed to be a male or a female. But as per the Children's Act of 2022, an intersex child is a child born with congenital condition in which the biological sex characteristics cannot be exclusively categorized in the common binary of either female or male due to the inherent mixed hormonal, gonadal, and chromosomal patterns, which could apparently prior to at birth, in childhood, puberty, or adulthood. So basically, this goes back to our biology classes way back in high school, the issue of chromosomes, gonads. So this an intersex child is somebody who has that congenital condition in which they cannot be classified as a typically male or female. Yes.
Thank you so much, Faiza. Maybe Haniel, anything else that you can add to us to further define how do you understand the issue or the term intersex?
Okay, so Faiza was right about how to identify the intersex person, and unajua, it's like how can I say it? It's like ni vitu vingi zenye, it's like so many things zenye zinafanya mtoto anakuwa intersex person, but unajua nikisema kwa lugha yenye watu wataelewa mara moja ni hunta, unaona. And but sasa nao community ukisema about hunta wanajua tu hunta ni yule mtu anazaliwa maybe with 2 organs. That means either umezaliwa na organs mbili za mwanamke na umezaliwa na organ ya mwanamke na ya mwanaume. But the fact is there is more than 47 type of intersex person, ambapo imechanganya vitu vingi. Imechanganya organs zenye ziko internal na imechanganya organs zenye ziko external na hizo chromosomes and everything. So sometimes it's a medical factor and so many things. So mtu not unless sasa ukitaka ku identify intersex person yeye ni nani, not unless so maybe nikisema I'm intersex person, now I have to say the type of intersex I am, you see, because there is more than 47 type of intersex people.
So thank you. Daniel, were you through?
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. Apologies for that. So maybe I'll get back to you, Faiza. I know we might not be able to expound all the 47 or 40-something types of intersex persons. Maybe just in a few, in a lay way, it might not be the biological reference to that type of an intersex condition, but maybe further to delve, what are some of those types of intersex persons that we have?
Okay, thank you, Noli. You know, we cannot classify, we cannot highlight the terms. Maybe they are given the way like persons with disability have different disabilities. But then there are more than 47 types of intersex, 46 types of intersex persons. So you find that an intersex person you cannot narrow it down to somebody who has the 2 organs. As Nelly has stated, you'll find those ones who have an external and the other one is internal. And that's why there are those 46 types. And you find that there are those, if I use a layman language, there are those maybe who can perform and there are those who cannot totally. But there are those who have the internal, maybe you have an external, let me say you have an external penis and you have the internal ovaries. So we don't have the terms for the 46 types, but as per study, there are more than 46 types according to the level of the condition of intersex persons.
Thank you so much for that. I understand the issue of intersex is broad and wide, and it's also, I'll say, new to most of us. We will go to communities and we'll bring about the issues of intersex, and it's not clear. Maybe as in your position as a commission, I understand that the commission is playing an integral role in creating the awareness and, of course, the acceptance of intersex person. But maybe, is it possible if you could give us a genesis of the need to recognize and appreciate the rights of intersex person? What came about? What brought about this whole conversation up to this point in time, where it comes to census, we have to recognize intersex person. It comes to the Children's Act, it has to recognize the intersex children. So what was the genesis of this recognition of intersex persons and children?
Okay, thank you, Noli. I can say, like, the reason why we are doing so much advocacy on intersex persons is because we are trying to eliminate some of the harmful practices. You can understand that there are some cultures that if they have intersex children, maybe they are killed. Others, the parent, mostly the woman, face the harsh reality. And you find that we are trying to promote that social acceptance that God made them this way, and so we need to accept and treat them like human beings. So to start with, the journey on intersex person didn't begin today. It's just that the Children's Act has made it like more that it has many people are questioning why the Children's Act has included intersex in the Act of 2022. So basically, it's to ensure that there's that message that these people do exist. And the reason why is that we need to ensure that there's that social acceptance. They be treated with dignity because they are human beings and their human rights are with them, even though they are born differently. So the journey for intersex persons didn't begin today. And Noli, as you have stated, during the census, if you are keen enough, or some of the enumerators who visited your homes, they did question if either you are male, female, or intersex, because that time we had partnered with the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and the government is all about numbers. So we needed to prove to the government that these people do exist, and there is reason that they need to be recognized as part of the society. And that's why during the census, we managed to count 1,524 intersex persons, those who came out. But we believe there are more than that, because there are those who are facing stigma. There are those who cannot come out because they might be killed. They are facing discrimination, but we believe there are more than that. If I take you back, we can start with the Kenyan case laws. That is way back in the Richard Muasia versus the Attorney General of Kenya case. That is petition 705 of 2007, where Richard was born with both male and female genitalia, and was given a male name at birth. So due to his ambiguous genitalia, so he was unable to secure a birth certificate, an identity card, or even travel documents. So he dropped out of class 3, but at some point in his life, he was charged with robbery with violence. And during his hearing and determination of the suit, he was placed in the custody of male persons. And during his stay in prison, he was sexually assaulted. And you can imagine the level of inhumane treatment that he got from his mates in prison. And if you do read the newspapers and you follow the news, not long ago, Justice Lenaola publicly apologized to Richard Muasia, basing on the fact that he was taken to prison and he faced such humiliation in prison, and the level of discrimination and sexual assault that he faced. So currently, he's supposed to be compensated by the state for human rights violations, but so far, I'm not sure if it has been done. The other one is the baby A case, who was suing through the mother. versus the Attorney General. I'm reading Kenyan cases, and baby A was born but could not get a birth certificate. As you deliver in hospital, the first thing you're given is the birth notification. But then when you're intersex and they can't tick both male and female, then it becomes a challenge. And that's where the first violation starts, because if you can't leave the hospital with a birth notification, then it's a violation of your right. So baby A case was petition number 266 of 2013, and the Attorney General and the Office of the Births were ordered to ensure that baby A got his birth certificate. So that's the second case. The third one is we can go to the census, where we were able to be counted during the national census. In addition to that, we have done the Attorney General formulated a committee, the Intersex Person Implementation Coordination Committee, and the main mandate of the committee was to come up to prepare findings, because as I've stated earlier, the government is all about numbers. So the mandate of the committee was to recommend comprehensive reforms to safeguard the rights of intersex persons, to develop a prioritized implementation matrix, and undertake any other activities that are required to ensure that intersex persons have a smooth a smooth daily life in Kenya like normal human beings. So the Intersex Person Committee was comprised of all those offices that are involved in the children's lives, and that is the Office of the Attorney General. We have the Kenya Law Reform Commission. We have the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which is basically the secretariat of the committee. We have the National Gender and Equality Commission, the Credo Foundation, which mostly deals with children matters. We have the Ministry of Interior, Ministry of Health, and Ministry of Social Labor and Social Protection. And then we have an organization that deals with intersex persons, which is called the Intersex Person Society of Kenya. So basically, from the reading of these offices, you can relate that from the start of your life to where you are today, you have interacted with these offices, because you find that there are those that deal with children matters, there are those that deal with prison, and this is mostly when intersex person maybe are arrested. So that committee is the one that proposed even the definition of intersex, which is captured in the Children's Act in the definition of terms. So it has been a journey, and the task force presented its report, and some of the sectors that were affected, that intersex persons faced issues with, were mostly the registration of persons, the health, education, employment, because if you can't get documentation, then you can't go to school, meaning there's a problem that you can't get employment. Civil registration, which is mostly about the issuance of identity cards. Immigration, if you don't have identification, then you can't travel. And also the justice sector, if you're arrested, where are intersex persons supposed to be placed? So before this journey didn't start today, and during the census, the oldest intersex person was 97 years old, meaning we have been living with it. It's just not know that this is the term maybe they can be used. We use the term hermaphrodite, which we saw like it's so derogatory. It doesn't sound polite to term them that way. And this journey is still ongoing with the capture of the Children's Act. It has become easy to explain why. It has become easy for people to understand why intersex persons and their rights should be fought for. And you find that in the current Children's Act, you find that in section 7, we have the name and the nationality, where the principal registrar has been, according to the Children's Act of 2022, is supposed to take measures to ensure that the correct documentation and registration of intersex children, even at birth. As I've stated, discrimination of intersex children starts from birth. And I can give a classical example. When you give birth to your child, the first thing you ask is whether the child is male or female. But then if the child cannot fit to a typical male or female, then you see the nurses start mumbling. Then the other part comes in is when relatives have to come to see the child, which becomes a challenge because it's traumatizing also to the mother. Because one, he doesn't know how the husband will react. He doesn't know how the in-laws will react. And most of the cases that have been reported to us, the mother always carries the burden. So the Children's Act has captured that very well, that the principal registrar is supposed to take measures to ensure correct documentation. And that starts from the birth notification. To ensure the birth certificate is captured correctly. And that's why we are trying to push that the I marker be added portals anywhere that needs the sex marker. Then we are proposing that the I marker be added for intersex persons. We have the section 21, which clearly captures rights of intersex person. Section 23, protection from harmful cultural practices, which it states that no person shall subject an intersex child to intersex genital mutilation. Same way we are fighting FGM is the same way we are fighting intersex genital mutilation, intersex person genital mutilation, unless it has been conducted by a medical, unless an advice has been given by a medical genetist that an organ change or removal should be done. We are really pushing hard that people should just leave them the way they are until they grow to an age that the body will conform to a certain sex. But at birth, you will be messing that kid, and that's why we are doing the advocacy journey. If you recall very well, there is a newspaper. There's a newspaper that captured the story of a girl who was soon the private parts, and the parents chose to raise the intersex child as a boy. But then what happens years later? We find that this person has to receive her menses, but then the place is sealed. So we are trying to advocate that and to enlighten the public that you should not take these children, intersex children, through those intersex genital mutilation, because despite the fact that you can go to a doctor and say that these chromosomes are dominating the other, but then what happens when they turn out to teenagers and puberty kicks in? You'll be messing that child. So we are really fighting hard against intersex genital mutilation, and the same is captured in the Act, that any person who conducts intersex genital mutilation then is liable for imprisonment. Right now, it's a criminal offense. Detention of children in conflict with the law. It's captured in the Children's Act of 2022 that any person deprived of liberty should not be detained with any other sex. And that's why males are placed differently, females are placed differently, and also intersex are supposed to be placed differently. I come back to the RM case. If you have time, go to the kenyalaw.org and read through the RM case. You will totally understand the reason why we are fighting for places of detention to have intersex facilities, to avoid the human rights violations that they face. The other one is the establishment of child protection units. When you place children in protection units that has male, female, then they're supposed to be an intersex area that has intersex, that can have protection units for intersex, because of they're humans. They also face violations, and whenever they are rescued, they need to be taken to a safe place, not a place that they further go to be violated. A child who needs care and protection for the purpose of the Act of 2022, an intersex child is placed as one of those who needs care and protection, and it's because of their vulnerability. And as I've stated earlier, women carry the burden. Very few men stand with their women. So long as you have gotten an intersex child, you're on your own until maybe your husband decides to stand with you. But then everything that lingers through your mind is that you're in this fight alone, and you find that women bear the burden. So they have been listed as those who are supposed to be placed under care and protection. It's because of the violations that they face. And also we find that some of the amendments that we are proposing, that and the Children's Act proposed, even the Intersex Person Implementation Committee proposed, is the Section 7 of the Births and Deaths Registration Act to be amended so that these people can be these children can be able to have their registrations from birth, the birth notification, the birth certificate, to have the intersex I marker. In addition to that, we have Section 29 of the Birth and Death Registrations Act to be amended by inserting the word document that shall include details of intersex person. So the journey has been there and we are not stopping at it. And that's why we need every stakeholder to keep, to take it as an own initiative, as an organization, as a person. What can you do to ensure that intersex children enjoy their rights, and the journey continues until their rights are fully achieved?
Thank you so much, Faiza, for that wonderful insight into the issues and the context of intersex persons. And truth be told, few of us do understand that we are violating the rights of intersex persons, maybe by omission or commission. And I'd want to invite Haniel maybe to give us a context on some of the violations around the rights of intersex persons and children, which we as people who do not understand the condition, the situation that they are in, have been doing. So what are some of the violations which intersex persons and children have been experiencing? Haniel.
Excuse me, Noli. I think come again with the question. I've lost you somewhere.
What are some of the violations on the rights of intersex persons and children? Violations of on their rights.
Okay. So what first I can say is that as intersex person, you know, our life is like on fringe of society courtesy, on an old age binary. Mentally, maybe one being a male or female, whereby now we face challenges from birth to adulthood, you know. And I can say this, I can say culture and religion is the major factor contributing to violence, because there is stigma and discrimination to intersex community. We have been normalized into a particular gender that reflects the norm on the interest of the parents or society. So you see, like gender dysphoria, self-stigma, social challenges, accessing opportunities, employment, accessing appropriate health services, it's like beyond our reach. Sometimes forced to take medical procedures in sports to compete fairly. And like, it's so many things that people, they are infringing our rights, you know. Tu kama nilivyotangulia kusema, it start from mtoto tu akizaliwa. First of all, like for example, there was a case I was following, I think last year. Mama amezaa mtoto, but the organs are not clear. Now the mother has to take the blame, like what Faiza said. Now the challenge is that the mother is facing challenges because of the community, and now the intersex person, because now the dad was like, huyo ni mtoto wako and I need a boy, so do whatever you can do, huyo mtoto akuwe mvulana. So that means mtoto alikuwa apelekwe. So I have to intervene, because sasa nikauliza, so if you take this kid to surgery, unaona, what if mtoto akuwe sasa akuwe ni msichana, what will you do? It's like infringing the right of this kid, kwa sababu atakuwa mtoto, atakuwa maybe ni msichana, unaanza kumtesa because maybe anapata periods, but sasa haziwezi toka because hiyo place ilikuwa inatakana itokee mtoto amekuwa operated. You see, like Hiyo ni kwanza mtoto akizaliwa. Wengine they just get killed. Na hiyo kwanza ndio iko mostly sana. Mtoto akizaliwa yeye ni kijego, tupo huko choma huko. Unaona? So it's like, and it's not like intersex people hatuko. We have so many people in this world we are intersex people. But hata census ilivyotoka na number ika turn out to 1000 and it's like watu wengi hawakutaka kujitokeza kwa sababu sasa maybe parents atakwambia wewe ni mtoto wangu na sitaki kujitokeze. I'll raise you the way I want. If you are a woman, you are a woman. If you are a man, you are a woman. So it's like pale mimi nataka wewe ndio utakuwa. And that's all. Ukijaribu kujitoa tu ni laana unapewa. So unajua culture zetu na vile zinatupeleka. You see, so like myself, I was born intersex. So like kutafuta ID, it was a challenge for me. And iliniforce niandike female. You see, and now my appearance, ukiniona, this person is not a female. So like accessing everything for me, it's like it's a challenge because sai sina kazi, because kila mahali ukienda mtu wa kwanza atakuuliza are you a male or female. You see, so maybe sasa nitasimama because sometimes unaweza pata niko na base nyingine si ya kawaida, so hata kumwambia huyu mtu I'm a female na sauti ndio hiyo utasikia you are not, ama it's okay then I'm a man, utamwambia hebu ID yako, ID akitoa imeandikwa female. You see, and even to change these documents, it's like it's tricky. You see, like government, they know that we exist. Government, they are doing everything just to be included, but now to change the documents it's tricky. You see, because utakuta mtoto ameshazaliwa ni intersex, hajui atapelekwa shule gani. Unakuta mtoto amelelewa maybe kama msichana, amefika puberty anakuwa mvulana, wazazi lazima wamweke msichana, anapelekwa shule ya wasichana, anakuwa violated huko. Unaona, lazima documents zake zote zimeandikwa maybe msichana, akikuwa amekuwa mwanaume. You see, and to change his document it's again tricky. Ukienda kwa hizo inaitwa nini, ukienda huko ukitaka msaada, and it's the same nakwambia, it's the same government yenye ndio wanatutoa mbio huko, and it's the same people yenye wanasema wanafanya amendment there up. You see, so it's like bado tu ina to confuse, bado tu inazunguka tu hapo. So utakuta everywhere we are going it's a challenge, everywhere we are going it's a challenge. And most of the time I'm saying, you know, it's better mtoto akiwa kwa care ya wazazi, unaweza hamasisha mzazi akalea mtoto hivyo na shida akakuwa, but now mtoto akishakuwa, now this the big challenge, kwa sababu mimi nikishakuwa nataka nikuwe na family, nataka nikuwe na kazi, nataka ni access hospital and all that, but utakuta it's beyond our need kabisa, kwa sababu hatuwezi afford kwenda hospitali. Ukienda hospitali utakuta maybe for example naumwa na kichwa, naenda hapo namwambia daktari, you know what, I have headache. Then anakuangalia tu you know, I'm intersex person, anaanza kukuuliza maswali zingine zenye yani mpaka unashindwa kwani being an intersex person ndio imenifanya mimi nimeumwa na kichwa. You see, and you can't question, because if you question atakwambia, you know, I'm a doctor and I'm doing, unasema wanafanya nini hizo nini zao, wanasema it's like they want to know chenye kinasababisha your sickness. Mimi nikikwambia naumwa na kichwa nipime, uniambie niko na nini. You see, so it's like everywhere we go it's a challenge. Not toilet, but public toilets, accessing everything is a challenge. It's a challenge. So yani I was like feeling like kama serikali walishajua sisi ni intersex, then the gender marker should be there tena very quick, because this is a challenge now. And I think most of the people, when you're intersex people, when you're gonna face izo challenges most, is the people that maybe we can say ni ile, you see, ni ile maybe sasa zao ziko internal. You see, so someone like that utakuta anapata challenges mingi, because this person anakuwa ameanza beards, wazazi wanamforce marike, like wazazi wanataka aolewe kwa sababu huyu mtoto amezaliwa msichana with the female organs, amezaliwa ni msichana, but maybe this person is intersex, internal is intersex. Mtoto anazaliwa anakuwa kwenye society, wazazi wamejua ni ng'ombe, wanamuozesha mtoto. You see, mtoto akiendelea kukua, mtoto ameanza kuwa na ndevu, inakuwa ni kisirani kule ameoleka, mtoto hawezi kupata mimba, mtoto anaanza kufanyiwa nini ananyanyaswa kwenye familia ya bwanake, akija kwa familia yako pia ananyanyaswa, and it's the same parents wenye wamemuozesha mtoto, not knowing that huyu mtoto kama ako hivi, mtoto ameshakuwa, mtoto anakuambia maybe I'm experiencing 1, 2, 3 things. You know, it's a challenge. I remember there was a time telling my grandmom, you know what, grandmom, mimi sioni periods. And you know what she told me? Aliniambia, it's because you ufanyi sex na wanaume. You see, I'm like, really? Even you're telling me this? So kwa hivyo nikianza ku have sex maybe na wanaume, that's why nitapata periods. Yani hata imagine parents hawana ile hata akae chini na mtoto amuulize why, ama there is 1, 2, 3 things, ama you was born this way so you can't have this. Unaona? So inakuja ile wakati pia mtoto ana challenge, parents wana challenge. It's like everywhere it's a challenge. Yes.
Thank you so much. I know there is much that you will want to say, and I think what you're putting is the actual context, in that even as a community, kama jamii, most of us think about something else as opposed to understanding the condition that the child is. And so maybe, Faiza, I'll bring you back for us to understand that there is an institution that has been put in place, a committee that looks into the subject that we are talking about. Maybe you can get to clarify to us, what is that committee? Who does it comprise of? What are some of its responsibilities in case of anything that we are experiencing in the community? Even for those people who are following, how can they seek redress and get access to the committee? Karibu, Faiza.
Okay, thank you so much, Noli. So we have the Intersex Person Implementation Committee, which comprises of different organizations, and as I've stated, the daily life of a child from the time they are born until now, maybe they're an adult, those offices that directly impact in your life. So the task force, the Intersex Persons Implementation Committee, Coordination Committee, the secretariat is housed at the commission, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights. But then we have other organizations that that is part of the committee, and that is the Office of the Attorney General, the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, which is the secretariat. We have the Kenya Law Reform Commission. We have the National Gender and Equality Commission. We have the Credo Foundation, which is the Credo basically deals with children matters. I know they have an office in Nairobi. I am yet to confirm if they have an office in Mombasa, but the Credo purely deals with children matters. We have the Ministry of Interior and National Government. We have the Ministry of Health, because of the health issues that come with the rights of intersex children in accessing medical health. We have the Ministry of Labor and Social Protection, and this is basically because of they have to, at some point in their life, they have to seek employment. And then we have the Intersex Persons Society of Kenya, which is purely an intersex person run society that fully advocates for the rights of intersex persons, that fights for the rights of intersex persons. So the mandate of this task force, when it was being formulated, was to ensure that they compile comprehensive data regarding the number, the distribution, and challenges of intersex persons. And that's why it led to the 2019 census. If you are at your home and anywhere, the enumerators could ask you if you are male, female, or intersex person. And that was to prove to the government that these people really do exist. Government is all about numbers. Before they have to see the number so that they believe that these people do exist. And after the counting of the intersex person during the census in 2019 by the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, it was ascertained that there are 1,224. This number is relatively low because basing on the fact that this is new information that was there and people could not understand, basing on the fact that there's societal stigma, there's discrimination. Some homes have killed intersex children. So you find that we believe there are more than 1,224. As Nelly has stated, there are many of them out there, but some of them have not come out. And the more we do more advocacies is when now we start seeing them coming out, but still there's that stigma. And the other mandate that the task force had to comply with was to undertake a comprehensive literature review based on a comparative approach to care, treatment, and protection of intersex persons. Another one is to examine the existing policies, institutional, legislative, medical, administrative structures, and systems governing intersex persons. And we have clearly seen the definition of intersex person in the new Children's Act was the one that was guided by the definition that was given by the task force to the government, that this is the definition that we want to be captured as a definition of intersex persons. And the same was directly captured in the Children's Act under the definition of terms. They were to recommend comprehensive reforms to safeguard interests of intersex persons. And we see the journey has started with the Children's Act. That is a milestone, even though it takes time. We are taking short strides, but then in the long run, we are taking strides. The issue is to start, but never to stop. So they're also to develop a prioritized implementation matrix, clearly stating the immediate, medium, and long-term reforms. And some of the immediate reforms, we see that the legislative changes such as the Children's Act, the advocacy of to creating awareness that intersex persons exist. Some of the long-term reforms that we are seeing is we find that even in the criminal justice system, for them to create cells that can hold intersex person, and the same way it applies to the prisons, we see that as a long-term plan, because for them to create that countrywide, it has to take issue of planning, logistics. So they are long-term, and that was the mandate that the task force was to do, to create a prioritized implementation matrix, and they're also to undertake any other activity for the effective discharge of their mandate as task force. So the task force presented its findings, and key informants were interviewed for them to give the feedback, because they were supposed to give back the feedback to the government every quarter. So some of the findings that the task force, through the interviews that were done countrywide, is that majority of intersex persons of school-going age experience low levels of access to education. And this one has been made worse by the introduction of the NEMIS. Previously, you could study up to class 8, and then when you are supposed to sit for your KCPE, then you'll be asked to come with your birth certificate for registration. But right now, it's becoming hard for an intersex person to even register, because the moment you step into school in baby class, you're supposed to submit your birth certificate for registration in the NEMIS. Now, a classical example, can an intersex person, an intersex child, join a baby class to get the NEMIS number, unless he has to choose maybe one? Maybe the parent chooses to raise them maybe as male and adopt the male name, so they go by the name, the male or female name, up to when they are adults. But then it brings complications, because at some point during puberty, when the body conforms to a certain sex, then they'll have to change, there's need for them to change the documentation. Another thing is that most intersex persons and their family go through shock, anger, embarrassment, and confusion. Whenever you give birth to a child, the first question is, ni msichana ama ni mvulana? But then when you ask that, and the nurse is mumbling, or I don't know if, you see, the shock starts from the first minute the child is born, and that's experienced by the mother. Because after that, the mother will start figuring out everything that will run through her head. Will my husband accept this child? Will my relatives accept this child? Will my in-laws accept me back? Mara mingi, you find that they say, hiyo ni laana ya kwenu, and you find the mother is always the person who carries the burden. Very few men have stood with their wives that this is a child he was created by God, or he or she was created by God, and we are going to treat them like normal children. But then others, it becomes like hii haiko kwetu. The discrimination starts from there. The shock, you feel embarrassed, but then you find that hata pale nyumbani you have gone with your child, kila mtu anamfungua nguo. You're violating their human rights. So unamfungua nguo to confirm that haya huyu hayuko sawa. So you find that there's that shock, the parents feel embarrassed, there's total confusion how the child will be treated, how the child will grow up. So that's one of the findings that the task force, from the interviews with the public, that the task force found. Another one is self-recognition. So you find that most intersex, there are those who identify as intersex, like the way Nelly has stated, that Nelly is bold enough to come out and say that I'm intersex. But then there are those who are still confused. They don't know if they should term themselves as intersex or not. So there's low level of lack of information on how they can term themselves, because you cannot say that they are male or female. But then there are those more than 46 types of intersex persons. So you can't just classify them under one that you understand. Another one is on healthcare. Nelly has clearly shared the experience that she goes through when visiting a health facility, and that's one of the findings also that the committee found, that they experienced, most intersex persons experience poor healthcare due to the high cost of treatment and the presence of very few specialized hospitals that can undertake, maybe whenever they are facing a condition that is related to being intersex. Nelly has shared the way there's that form of like discrimination when they visit hospital, or they have gone with a certain, it creates a certain form of judgment from the medics. So that is another thing that was found out by the task force. Another is that some parents have decided to take their children to corrective surgery, and that's something that has been criminalized in the current Children's Act of 2022. If you take your child through intersex person genital mutilation, then you are liable to be imprisoned. It's a criminal liability currently, because Nelly has given an example. A child has been born. I choose to raise my child as a girl, and I decide to chop the manhood of the manhood. Then, when this child gets to puberty, the body conforms to the male. What happens? The child is already messed up, and you can't take it back. You can't. And we have a case that went that was in the media, a girl who was raised as a boy, and then the female private parts were sealed. And currently, an experienced periods, but now what happens? They need to reopen after more than 14 years of it being sealed. You're taking this child again through another process because of a mistake that you did day one of the child being given birth to. So we are trying to advocate as much as possible. Don't take them through the intersex genital mutilation. Let them get to puberty whenever they choose to, because they'll have a right to choose. It's their body. They'll have a right to choose if they are going to undergo the surgery or not. But as parents, let your child grow as they are, not to go through the surgery, because you'll be messing up with their life after teenagehood, when their body will conform to the sex. And we can't play with hormones. You can't do anything in matters relating to hormones. So whenever a hormone decides to go the XYZ, because intersex person, a normal person has X for the lady and XY for the man. Intersex person either have XXX or XXY. So there's, or XYY. So there's that extra. Whenever you decide to make them go through that surgery, you're messing their future life, because some processes cannot be reversed. The other thing is the issue of the criminal justice system. A good example is the Richard Mwasia case. You are arrested, the police frisk you, they undress you, you're trying to explain to them that you are intersex, but they don't understand. And that's why we are doing this sensitization, that even the police cells, if there are no children in those cells, then they should be placed in the children's cell. But if there are children there, the male cell is full, the female cell has people, then they should find a way to ensure that this person has their right protected, hata kama ni kukaa hapo reception wakae na yeye. And those are some of the findings that were found by the task force, and the same was shared by the government. And some of the recommendations that were given, one was on recognition, and this involves legislation changes. So this could be realized by the introduction of the eye marker. So far, I know there's only one intersex person who has a passport with an eye marker, and that is Ryan, who is working at the Intersex Person Society of Kenya. But then that one, how many intersex persons are there? They need that recognition. If the government can add the eye marker in the birth notification, the birth certificate, for them to be able to change their documentation. I know currently, I can give an example, and Nelly can attest to this, that Nelly can get maybe to an airport, go to the female washroom or the male washroom, and people will be like, there's that face with question marks because of their appearance. I know they find challenges. They find challenges even picking parcels, because you go there, your identification reads Mary, but you appear like John. Who will believe you? So that is recognition. And this calls for the amendment and introduction of a comprehensive definition of an intersex person. And that's why it has been captured in the Children's Act. And that will push also for the reforms in the changes in their documentation. Because if Nelly maybe grew up with a female name, and then the documentation are reading the female name, the Kenya Certificate of Primary Education and KCSE read the female name. When the body conforms to the male physique, then we want it to be possible for them to change their documentation according to the way their body has conformed. Because the challenges that they're facing right now are accessing even buildings that need a proof of identification. They can't even take loans to maybe develop themselves in terms of maybe starting businesses, because which bank will believe an identification that has been produced by somebody who doesn't look like the person in the identification of the name? So you find that in the last elections, we saw that they also found challenges even in voting, because you're presenting your document for verification and they can't trust that it's you. But I know two of intersex persons were able to vote, and one in Nairobi was able to run for the office of the MCA, and his name is Kwamboka, and Kwamboka came second during the elections. So those are some of the challenges that were raised by the task force, and some of the recommendations that were given so that they can be adopted. And in addition to that is also the criminal justice sector. We are trying to push that even if we can start with one or two cells or prisons where intersex persons can be held when they break the law, or children who are in conflict with the law. So these are some of the propositions and some of the recommendations that the committee gave to the government for their uptake and action. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faiza, for that clarification. And I would acknowledge that it's only a few of us who are here in this platform who understands that there is that coordinating committee. And I remember sometimes I shared with you that we went to some community here within Mombasa County, and they still do not understand that the coming to birth of an intersex child is nothing related to any misfortunes. And as parents, it's their duty and responsibility to take care of what God has blessed them with. So maybe, Haniel, I'll come back to you. You know, Pfizer speaks for the government as we are here, and she has a right to speak well of the source of her bread and butter. But in actual sense, do you, as a person that is in this situation and in this sector of practice of advocacy, do you, from where you sit since this effort began, do you think or do you feel that our systems are being responsive to the intersex children or person? I'm just thinking of the children that we've taken to school who are joining Form 1, those who are joining junior school. Is there a way that enough is being done so that the rights and welfare of intersex persons and children are taken into consideration? Haniel.
I love this question, and I'll answer this question to like an honest answer as I could. What I can say is that there is, unajua kuna msemo anasema vitu kwa ground is different, you know, and it's true. Things kwa ground ziko very different. Sahi, it's like everyone, they want to intervene to the matters of intersex people, I can say because of their own benefits. Unanisikia vizuri?
Yes, we can hear you. Just proceed.
Yeah, so utakuta sahi, because if government, they need numbers, and the truth is that these numbers ziko hata kama ni kidogo, at least they have made an effort. At least sahi mtoto akizaliwa, kuuliwa and all that, wameka hii mikakati yote at the place they iko sawa, but people, they're still suffering here down. And you know, most of the time is that unaona mimi ambaye najua nimeshatoka, it's easy to talk. What about the person mwenye hajawahi toka? You see, and this culture, religion, and these people tunaishi kwa maisha. Unaona sasa hata ukija ukihoji wazazi wangu, watajifanya unanipenda sana 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 sana, but the truth is not, because mimi ndio najua chenye napitia. Wewe ukija unataka kuonyesha that face ya kuwa you know it's a blessing and all that, but tunajua chenye tunapitia hapa. Kwa uwanga hakuna blessing. Kwanza kitu kidogo tu kishatokea hivi, basi wewe ndio kasi kwa hii nyumba. Kwanza sasa fanya mistake kuzaliwa kwa family yenye maybe wanafanya rituals and all that, ndio utajua to be born intersex person. In fact, in Africa and Kenya it's a scam, you see. So it's like, nimetangulia kusema nikasema kama Faiza mwenyewe amesema, the only person mwenye akona ID yenye iko na eye marker, it's only one person. And remember, we are more than one person, because we are izo data yenye liridi, we are 1000, and hawa watu sote tutaishi vipi? You see, so it's like, wacha tufanye hii kazi, because most of this thing is just politics. Mtu anakuja anajifanya nasimama na wewe, akishapata chenye anapata ni kuendanga ameendanga na hakujui tena. So people here down, we are suffering, and we are suffering. Na sasa unajua ukijifanya kiherehere kama mimi, unaweza zimwa vibaya sana. Ni vile mimi hawezi nizima, penye nimefika utajaribu sana kunizima. You see, so it's like vitu kwa ground, it's very different kulingana na vile vitu tunafanya. This is the reality, because I'm living here. Kwa sababu ingelikuwa vitu vinafanywa vile ambavyo inafaa. Since hebu nikumbushe, census zilikuwa lini?
2019.
Sasa tuko 2013. Hizo ni miaka ngapi zimepita? And we are still here suffering. Bado watoto hawana kazi, bado intersex hawana kazi. bado document hatuwezi change, bado watoto wakizaliwa intersex. Kwanza I remember there was sometime tulienda kwa meeting mahali, it was intersex day, so tukapatana na mtu ambaye anakaa kwa hizo I think office ya gender wherever. So tulivyomuuliza akasema hadi serikali kuu ipitishe. Ni lini serikali kuu ikipitisha? What about mimi mwenye naishi hapa? Serikali kuu itapitisha lini? So we still suffering here. So ukifuata serikali kuu because anataka kuonekana, because akona mandate zake, because akona goals zake, atajifanya na kushika mkono. Na kikushika mkono, atakushika mkono ndo watu wote wajue ameshika neli mkono as intersex person. Ni kura anataka, ni benefit anataka. Na mimi bado niko pale pale naumia. That's what I can say. And I'm telling you this, bado tunaumia, bado tunanyanyaswa, serikali iko hapo wako. Kila siku watatuletea sheria. Katiba yenyewe, alafu acha nikwambie, katiba yenyewe wameiandika. Mimi naweza isoma. What about mama mwenye akona intersex, mtoto mwenye ajui kusoma? Things they are not clear. Utakuta maybe mimi na understand na nitaunderstand venye mimi na understand. What about that person? Nitaenda kumsomea katiba nzima, hiyo iko na pages ngapi? Ama hata nikachukua hicho kifungu nitamueleza vipi mpaka elewe? You see, so I think there is so many things zinataka kuputiwa kwa place. Tukisema tunashikana aje? Task force, yeah. I know you are there. You have to do something. Because you are there fighting, and I love the fact that you're fighting hard. And you know, now the other thing is that vitu zote zinafanyika Nairobi. Wana fight Nairobi. What about person from Kwale? What about person from nini kunaitwa nini? Tana River. You see, so hata vitu zikifika Nairobi, not unless mimi nina tikiti niende Nairobi. Mtu wa Tana River atapita wapi paka aende Nairobi to get this information? So, yani bado tuko kwa journey. And it's not a journey like tukuja hapa tuongee. We need to act, because I feel like it's the time to act, not to talk. Manake tukaongea. Mimi sasa nataka document zangu zibadilishwe, because nataka nipate kazi. Alafu nitaanzia wapi? Kama mtu mmoja peke yake ndio akaona hiyo intersex mark peke yake, mtu mmoja Kenya nzima. Sisi wengine. Mimi nimemaliza kusema. Nahitaji tuka.
Thank you so much. And thank you so much. And I think ukweli is that sometimes we have things that we are doing at our level, even at organizations, and we believe that we are helping the community, which is not the case. And I've been in session because I'm into child protection and safeguarding, so intersex children issues are very key to me, because I just wish that each and every current and prospective parent will understand the issues around intersex, so that kesho, when the family is blessed the child that whose gender is intersex, they are able to know where they can seek advice, guidance, and such alike. And Haniel, back to you. There's been the association of intersex with the LGBTQ community, which sometimes mixes and confuses, and sometimes becomes a challenge, because as people we respect each one's identity. And my question to you will be, what do you think of separating intersex from the LGBTQ movement and community?
Okay, hebu niulize ile swali vizuri, kwa sababu nataka nilijibu kwa umakini.
I'll because there are those of us about there is initially, because from our programming as people who do health, we've
yes,
referred to the community as LGBTQI, and they are parents and children who biologically wamepata watoto ambao ni intersex, and for them they are not affiliated or associated with the LGBTQ community. So swali langu ni hivi, ni kuna urahisi gani when we advance the rights of the two communities separately, LGBTQ as a community separately, advancing their interest and separating them from intersex issues?
Okay, now let me answer you this question. And that's why nikasema there is a challenge. Like, to be honest with you, before I know that I'm intersex person, I was among LBQ groups because I think maybe I'm a lesbian. You see? And utakuta most of the people ambao wanakuja mwisho anaji-identify yeye ni intersex alianzia kwa hizi group not knowing that these people they are intersex people. Because unaona mimi kuingia kwa hizi organization first niliingia kwa organization mimi nikijua kabisa mimi maybe I'm a lesbian from then because nilikuwa na futures different lakini sasa sijui nini na happen kwa body yangu. So kitu ya kwanza kupatana na group ni group ya lesbian because now it's like wewe ni masculine woman. You see? Maybe because I don't know if I'm intersex. Nimeingia kwa group ya lesbian. Nimegrow now. Unaona? Hadi nikaja nikaji-identify sasa. Oh, so mimi kumbe ni intersex because I have 1 2 3 things. You see? So inakuwa challenge kwa sababu gani? Unaona mtu maybe anakuwa hapo akiona yeye ni gay lakini anakuwa na futures different. Akisha grow sasa anakuja ana-identify so I'm intersex person. So for me huanga nasema tu kila siku even gay, even lesbian, even trans people they have born the way they have born but people do not understand this kwa sababu mimi nimezaliwa nikiwa intersex person because I have a man, I have female and male futures. Hivyo ndo nimezaliwa. Sasa unajua kuna kuzaliwa then kuna feelings. So that means lesbian amezaliwa the same. Kwa sababu saa hizi there was a case study I was doing. Kuna mtu amezaliwa pahali hata wazungu hawajafika. And this person is a lesbian. Ama this person is gay. Huyu mtu amesoma wapi na hata shule hajaenda? Huyu mtu ameiga kwa nani? Na hata hakuna mtu ambaye ameiga. You see? So it's like kila kitu kikifanyika hivi. It's only good creation because good creation is very diversity, including sex, including inaitwa nini genders, including hormones and everything. Unaona? So everyone knows chenye mtu anapitia yeye kama yeye. Unaona? So what I can say if it's a lesbian woman amekuja na anataka ku access help, we have to treat this person as a human being despite that yeye ni lesbian. Kitu cha kwanza kinakuja akilini, this is human. So if we'll just put humanity in everyone, I think kila kitu itakuwa sawa. Do you know that there is intersex people who they are gay and others they are lesbian and they are intersex people? So how watu tutawapeleka wapi? So we are just among there. You see, and mimi nikitaka sahi kesi yangu isikizwe, nitajitetea mimi kama mimi and nitatetea mtu mwenye alinifanya nikagrow paka nikaji-identify. You see? Kwa sababu hizi ni cases ambazo ziko na sikudanganya na kuambia ukweli. Watu wengi sana wanajificha kwenye hizi LGBTQ organizing because they don't understand themselves. Hii kitu inachanganya. Unajua mimi mwenyewe saa nyingine naweza amka hivi. I'm very masculine person. Sometimes I'm very feminine. Sometimes I feel like I love ladies. You see? So sasa mimi kuna swali nikajiuliza, if I'm intersex person and now I love women, unaona nitaenda wapi? You see, what if sasa mimi na identify as a man na kesho nije nipende mwanaume and I'm intersex person? Unajua it's like people they're just looking for sexual practices and not how these people they identify themselves. You see, sasa mimi kama nimekuja nataka services, mimi nimekwambia I'm this so and so, just give me the services because I'm human. And even if mimi ni lesbian, before I become a lesbian I was a human, so treat me with dignity, with humanity, with everything. You see, kwa sababu hata pia ni creation of God. Very bold, very bold, but do we understand this? We don't. Si kuna hata cultures zingine utasikia ati baba mama hazai ameoa mwanamke amekuja azalishwe. Tunajua kunaendelea nini hapo ndani? Do you know that? What's happening? Are we talking about that? We don't. So unajua ikikuja if it's to talk about intersex person, watu wengi wao hawataka kuongelea about LGBTQ people, but the fact is that these people exist. Tena hao ni wengi hata kushinda intersex. Intersex number ni ngapi? 1125. What about LGBTQ or T person? Ni wengi. Nakwambia intersex wengi wamejificha kwenye hizo organization. Because hata mimi nisinge identify. I swear leo ningesema mimi bado ni lesbian. Kama nisingeona hizi vitu zingi ambazo za saizi anihapenia, mimi mpaka sasa ningekuwa bado ni lesbian. Unaona, I remember hata kuna place nilienda for intersex people, na mtu tu aliniambia wewe ni lesbian. Namuuliza, how do you know I'm a lesbian? You see, kwa sababu nimekuwa na hizo organization, but hawaoni kwamba nikiwa kule huko ndio niliji-identify. You see, and mimi ndio najua chenye napitia, mimi ndio najua chenye nimebeba kwenye miguu yangu, mimi ndio najua nimebeba maybe kwenye mwili wangu. So mimi I think there is a need, if it's to fight, I'll fight because my organizing in a focus na intersex people. But when I talk to like about intersex people, I'll talk about these other communities, because hapo nikiongea ndio wengi nitawapata wakuja kwa organizing intersex person, because there are many and they don't know.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Daniel, for that clarification. Actually, we are living in a society that, in the nature of work that we do, we need to appreciate diversity and inclusivity, because some of the happenings within our communities are beyond our control, and they require human rights centered approach. And maybe I'll get back to you, Isa. In relation to the awareness creation that we undertake, and of course the committee being in place, what are some of the challenges that you are experiencing? Because as a commission, you are at a point that you receive complaints, information, reports, and feedbacks around this entire subject of intersex persons. So what are some of the challenges that you're experiencing as a commission, and what are some of the possible solutions that we can do collectively as members of this community? Faiza.
Okay, thank you, Noli. Okay, some of the challenges that we have experienced so far in maybe sensitizing people on intersex person is the fact that people don't understand the difference between the other community, the LGBTQ community, and intersex person. So you find that you can attend a forum, you are sensitizing them on intersex person, but then the reception of the news is totally negative until you start explaining. I remember way back, we were in Kilifi and we were sensitizing people on intersex person. This is before even the Children's Act came into action and decided to and define the term intersex person. And I recall one pastor of all the people, clearly standing up and stating, nyinyi mnaeneza immorality. And you see, now you have to understand their perspective because they lack information, but you have to take that time to explain to them that this exists. It's not their choice. They are created by God this way. And if any parent could have chosen not to give birth to an intersex child, then they could have chosen to. But then you find that the moment you start stating that you are spreading immorality, that's due to lack of information. And it's clear that when you have information, you now reason in a totally different way. So that was one of the experiences I had in Kilifi, coming from a religious leader. Lack of information, that's one. And this same way applies when you go to sensitize the community. You have to clearly state the law, like which laws really touch on intersex person and address intersex person. So you find that even if you are talking to the people, there's that negative perception. People look at you like, I totally don't understand what you're talking about and I don't care. But then you have to take that time to understand their perspective, because it's something new that they're trying to understand. I remember in Kizurini, we talked to the village elders and wale wazee wa nyumba kumi, and they clearly opened up that intersex persons are called Kijego in Kilifi. I don't know if it's the Giriama, or I don't know what the community that terms Kijego as intersex person. So they clearly shared with us that some people killed them, some people, but they knew who they were, just that they didn't know that those people were intersex persons. So mostly it's lack of information. And the only way to curb that is to ensure that we do more sensitization, more advocacy, and that's we are not giving up. Hata tukienda boardroom and people decide to have that negative, we take our time to explain to them. We always work with our flyers, and this is one of them. We work with this whenever we have any sensitization relating to children. We have this. So this flyer, it has the introduction of intersex, where the intersex journey began. We have the reforms. So it does define the intersex person, the estimated population, does the law recognize them, and also laws that address intersex persons. So when we give somebody a flyer like this, some of them, they take their time to read, others they throw it, but then we never give up. We have to ensure that the information is there. So we have this flyer, this abridged version. So this one is a report of the Task Force on Policy, Legal, Institutional, Administrative Reforms regarding intersex persons in Kenya. And this is a report that captures also some of the cases that I've mentioned, the challenges that they are facing, and some of the legal framework that touch on intersex persons. We also have, this is the first report that we tabled, and you can see very well it's the report of the task force on the policy. Now this is a smaller version of this, a summarized version, if I am so to say. So this book, if you have time, visit our website, that's theknchr.org. You will find this book under publications. When you go through this book, you will be able to see the pictorial examples and the different intersex conditions. So this book is really conclusive, as it has even the pictures, the statistics, and even the recommendations. So when you have time, you can go through this. So lack of information the only way to curb it is to ensure that there's proper sensitization, there's advocacy, and that's why we are doing even this session, online mainstreaming. Social media currently is everything, the use of technology to pass message. So whenever I talk to you, I expect you to be an ambassador, to fight for that intersex child, to ensure that their rights are protected. When we have these publications, we always give out whenever we go to, so that people have information, they take their time to read. And when you have information, you can be able, when you are sitting somewhere and you get to hear something. I remember Noli contacted me one day that is in a place, and somebody mentioned about something intersex. It's because he had information about it. That's why he was able to understand the conversation that was going on there, and he can be able to also intervene in any point in the conversation. So use of mainstream media to pass message. The other challenge that we have had is we have those parents who feel like it's an omen, but then you have to talk to them that this is God's creation. The moment unakufuru chenye Mungu ameumba, then you are doing the wrong thing. So there are those people who feel like it's a curse, but we are trying to remove that stereotype so that they don't face the stigma and the discrimination in the society. The other thing now is, whenever we do these forums, whether physical, whether online, we expect you as a person, you as an organization, to ensure that you stand up for human rights of this vulnerable group of persons. They can't have a voice by themselves to fight for their rights. Nelly has stood up and is doing river, and Nelly can attest that we met. They're called in Kiswahili wakunga. In English, they're called traditional birth attendants, and it's because Tana River is a border town with is it Somalia? I think it borders three, is it three counties? So there's so much intermarriage within there, and you find that the distance coverage so that somebody can go to hospital. So we find that most people opt to go to the traditional birth attendants. And I can share without fear of contradiction that the eldest traditional birth attendant that we met started her work way back in the 1990s. But we decided to go with that group because they are the first contact persons on the ground, basing on that area. So every area, every geographical area has their own issues, but then we pinpoint this area, these issues, how are we going to tackle it? And that's why we went to Tana River, and we were able to meet with the traditional birth attendants. We were able to meet with the religious leaders. And some of the other challenge that we get is when you go there, me, I'm talking from a perspective of paperwork, but Nelly is talking from a perspective of experience, lived up experience, what Nelly has experienced since birth until now. So you find that you go to certain forums and the question you get, wewe mwenyewe ushaikutana na mtu kama huyo. You see? So that's why we always involve intersex persons in our forum, to just have them share their experience, because when it comes, Nelly knows where the shoe pinches. Me, I can't tell the exact experience the way Nelly will express it, from how he has lived up the life that he has since birth. But then we have them journey with us. We have worked with Nelly a number of times, and this is to ensure that people have information that these people exist, some of the challenges that they go through, because people will believe from the horse's mouth. And it hits hard when it hits home. Right now, you might not care that about intersex persons, but then same way as you never know whenever you can have a child, maybe a child with disability, it's the same with intersex. It hits hard when it hits home. So when it hits home, it's when it starts to ring a bell that, now I need to protect this kid. What should I do? But then when you don't have information, what do? You fall prey. But then when you have information, then you can be able to find way out, report to organization that might help. So having a journey with intersex persons, and it has helped us to be able to pass the message to the public, because they share the experience from their own life perspective. For example, maybe an intersex person who is Muslim, where should they pray? Because Muslims pray in has the two sections, the female and the male. But then an intersex person, where do they pray? So these are the questions that they pose even to the religious leaders. And it creates that question in their mind that they need to think of as religious leaders. What can they do? So basically, as organizations, as a person, you as a person, the best way is to ensure that you create awareness by keeping the conversation going. From this, I know the conversation will not end here. You'll find me anywhere discussing about intersex person. Use your positions in the society to create that safe space. Mainstream intersex education. We were trying to propose even to hospitals that they can have that television on the reception area, if they can have clips about intersex persons. Stand up for human rights. Ensure that you are your neighbor's keeper. You cannot stay in an environment that your neighbor is being violated and you're happy about it. You need to stand up for the rights of this vulnerable group. And you can Nelly shared that they face employment issues, and this traces way back to education. And right now the NEMIS has hardened everything. But you find that I want to challenge every organization that is within this space, that even that try to create a space in your organization, even for one intersex person, even as one of your staff members. Do not, so long as if they have the certification, because you have heard that they experience challenges even getting further studies, and these further studies, most of them, they have dropped out in primary. Create that space for them. Even this how can I, administrative duties, can you just have even one intersex person as one of your staff? And this will help pass the message, like, you are acknowledging that these people are there, and you're trying to create a safe space for them, even to fend for their families. Most intersex persons, by the way, they have not gone to school, and those who have gone to school, maybe they dropped out of primary, and now they are doing these certifications. Can you take a challenge by, as an organization, that space, even the administrative position, you can give to an intersex person? As a commission, we have made strides on that, because we are the first commission, a government institution, to have an intersex person as one of our commissioners. Our commissioners came in March 2022, and one of our commissioners is an intersex person, and is bold enough to say that I'm intersex and I qualified for this space and I fought for this space. So you see, we are creating that stride that even intersex person can hold senior position. I had another colleague who was one of our staff. So we are trying to create that space. As an organization, you can do that. Have that space for an intersex person in one of your recruitment. Don't put, you can highlight that when you are applying. If intersex, then you can put the qualifications much lower, because you understand that their educational level, most of them, they have not gone past a certain level. So that's one of the challenge that I'm giving you. The other challenge is stand up for human rights. The keeps going. Where the commission is not there, ensure that the conversation keeps going. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Faiza, for that those wonderful words. And I'd want to give an opportunity to my friends. Haniel, we've been meeting in platforms, but we've never had an opportunity for this interaction. And I'd want to appreciate my good friend who linked me with you. And as a person who is so much into children's issues, this is a big concern to me. I'm sure we are going to experience cases of parents who will need guidance, counseling, and even psychosocial support, but they'll never know where to go to. So maybe from your hand, Daniel, maybe to get to hear from you, your parting shot, and opportunities for us to collaborate, and if possible also, let's see how we can do this together. So from your point, from your position, any parting shots, any closing shots, any final words, any opportunities that you think we as a community we need to do, so that this is our issues. This is our issue rather. We never know what tomorrow holds for us. Haniel, karibu.
Okay, thank you so much, Noli, for that. Okay, so what I can say is that, because it's like Faiza ameelezea tu kila kitu. Me, I can say what we need as intersex person is opportunities, because if we will have these opportunities, hatusikia intersex akisumbua mtu, hautasikia Noli nikikupigia simu nikwambia nipatie 500 niende usi. You see, but it's a challenge. If kama sina kazi, kama siwezi pata opportunity pali popote, sio kwa government, sio kwa private sex, you see, because of who I am. So it's like one community. We have this one voice. Wewe ukijua Nelly anaweza fanya 1 2 3 things, why don't you give Nelly a chance to do that? Because hiyo inanifanya mimi nanisukuma, and it's true. unajua hivi ukiangalia unaweza sema nimesoma sana. Mimi ni university material anyway, wacha niachie hapo. You see, but it's because nimetafuta hizo information mwenyewe. Nimego through extra miles to do this. You see, but maybe it's because the sufferings I went through, the struggles and all that. Na sitaki kuona intersex mwingine pale akisononeka. Like I know what my parents will go through raising me, and I can't allow any parents I go through because of their children. So maybe what I can say, as community, let's fight for the right of intersex people. You see, let's fight for the right of intersex people. Let's come together. Let's give these kids opportunities. Mtoto kama anaenda shule, serikali pia jua hao watoto wanataka kuwa protected kule, kwa sababu mtoto akishaenda shule basi anatendeka kule hatuyajui. Kiasi hata ufuatilie kesi, hata sasa mimi nikakuwa violated, nifuatilie kesi nitafika wapi? Hata hiyo pesa ya kufile kesi sina. Sintabaki tu huku ni chini nikinyanyaswa. So opportunity is very important for the intersex people. Watoto wasome, certificates zipatikane, everything, like to change everything. And if there is parents there outside, maybe anataka msaada because of intersex person, sijui nitakupatia we namba yangu ya simu. I tell you the organization na work nazo, at least they can reach me out. The media people who can reach me out to sensitize community about intersex person. I'm very open person. Faiza can tell you that. Mimi naweza ongea mpaka kesho kama ni issues zetu, because I know chenye napitia. Na sitaki mtoto mwingine apitie hicho. But I need these opportunities to stand. You see, because there is a need maybe for intersex people wapewe hizi capacity, wapewe hizi opportunities. Ndio tutaweza kuspeak. But mimi siwezi speak kama nina njaa. Nitaenda kutafuta unga huko kama nitakujua kuni speak. You see, so that's what I can say. Saingine nakuwa emotional sana nikiongea about these issues. So it's up to us to come together. We fight for the people. We fight for the right of the intersex persons. You see, na pia wenzetu pia tusiwatenge, because we are all humans. And you know, it's like we're living in this world. We are living in this. We are human without humanity. Na hiyo ndio maana inatumiza mpaka kesho. No, usifikiri ati even I can say even my family, kuna wale wamenikubali, kuna wale wamenikataa. And it's a journey. And I'm not 33 years. Sasa miaka yote nimeshinao na bado wengine hawanitaki. You see, so it's a journey. It's a journey. Na nakwambia, living, like, if you live in Kenya and you are an intersex person na hauna pesa, then my friend, sijui unaishi wapi. Sijui unaishi wapi. We have to fight hard. Tena nikisema hard, I mean hard. Alafu kufight na fight vipi? Wakati certificate niko nayo ni ya class 8. Kenya hadi nisome. Sasa nitafikiria kwenda kutafuta certificate zingine, ama nitaangalia watoto watakula nini. It's hard. Basi changeini hata ID yangu. It's hard. Like, yeah. So what I can say, let's fight together. Let's come together. Let's fight. If anyone there need my advice, anataka nisimame na yeye, wako na watoto intersex people, they are intersex persons, I swear. I can offer everything for free. I'm a counselor mimi mwenyewe, I can counsel them. Na mtu akinishinda, I'll just refer them. Yeah, that's what I can say.
So thank you so much, Haniel and Faiza, for your time. I know we've gone overboard. We had anticipated that by 6:30 we should have been done, but it's almost 7. So mine is to appreciate you and say asante sana, and hope we'll be able to catch up offline. So you have a great evening, and all our viewers, asanteni sana. I've put in our email contact for the organization and also the website for the Kenya National Commission on Human Rights, and of course an SMS opportunity 22359. There's the WhatsApp number and the email, so that anybody who might be having issues around intersex persons and children, and then they need support, advice, whatsoever, the commission is a government commission that will be willing and able to support. So thank you so much. Until next time, kwaherini sana.
Bye.
Kwaheri.